So, a defining trait about death is that we don't know what it is. We know that it's when our bodies stop working, it's when our heart's not beating and our brains don't function. But we don't know what happens to the part of us that even cares about the fact that we're bodies. We don't know what happens to the part of us that exists outside of survival, the part that has dreams, the part that has goals, that the part that is called unrealistic for wanting to do whatever it wants, the part that's told that it needs to grow up, the part that's told that it needs to accept real life and just get with the program. That part still exists, and we are embarrassed of it. We fantasize, and we're embarrassed of our fantasies. We're so embarrassed that we manifest ourselves as being creeps, as being cringy, as being perverted, as needing to hide who we really are. And it's that part of us that has not accepted physical survival, that continues to persist no matter what. That part of us that says, yeah, but this shit still doesn't make sense. Like, the part of us that says, I'm more than just my body. Because if I was just my body, well, then I wouldn't be here. My body would just be doing its thing. And it seems like the goal of all the other bodies around me at the moment is to make my body lose this part of myself that's capable of explaining and thinking and wanting all these wonderful things, so that my body can just do the thing that bodies do when they don't have a soul in them, I guess. I don't fucking know. My point being, I think that when people die, it's just because you couldn't understand the concepts that they were choosing next. And you two had to be separated. That if you lose a loved one, even if it's a simple explanation like a car accident, something that you can accept, a heart attack, a disease, anything that's just something just physically happened, and that's all it was. That they were probably thinking and accepting concepts about existence that you weren't ready to experience yet, that you couldn't even hear happening from a distance. And so, to separate your existence, you had to interpret them as dying. And you could say that there's just this cold fact about existence, that death is just a cold realization about existence, but I don't think it is. The same way that whenever somebody says, because they want to control things, none of you are as real as me. I'm the realest person. You niggas barely exist. And then that person suddenly gets a harder life. That person suddenly suffers. Because what they tried to do is decide everyone else's condition. They tried to say, no, this is who you are, and this is who you are, and this is who you are. They took everyone else's choice to choose who they are, and so their lives became harder. They couldn't choose as much as they wanted to for themselves as a result. That I think death occurs similarly. That when somebody wants to get rid of another person, to remove them, to kill them in a sense. That if the other person doesn't care, then that person who wants to remove the other person ends up removed themselves. And it's not death, they just get kicked out. They just get banned. However you want to call it. So I just got distracted. But when two people both want to remove each other, and they both say, no, I'm still here, and I'm just choosing to be here. And when two people both want to get rid of each other, both want to remove each other, and they start thinking of all the ways that when they get to the point where they're not just ideas and where they're both mass, they're both bodies, and they just don't want to leave, they just don't want to move from where they are. those two bodies start to become blood and flesh. And then they start getting violent towards one another. They both imagine removing each other forcefully. That's violence. And then they both imagine the other one dying, not being there anymore, not existing anymore. And when both people can have those images in their head, they can experience those images in real life. It's that law. If you can think it, you can make it. And if two people are thinking of getting rid of each other, they're both thinking of the possibility of death. Or have you ever noticed how dogs need to intimidate you first? They need to think of you dying before they kill you. You ever notice that? You ever notice how a lot of people need to intimidate you? They need you to think of you dying before it can happen, because in a way you've got to accept it. Then we think about the idea of death happening unexpectedly. Some random guy just shooting you in the face while you're walking for no reason. But we think it, and we accept that it's possible, and now it can happen. And even then, I don't think it happens for us. I think that if you get shot in the face, right? Even if you go around and you wake up and you're like, you're on the news the next fucking day, you survived it. Or no, you can probably survive it. And those are things that happen. You let's say, unless you don't survive, let's say you get shot, right? You lose your brain function and you're fucking paraplegic. You're not here as much. You're not here. Your soul probably went somewhere else. Who you are probably went somewhere else. Your body just became a concept for us to see and manifest and think of those things that we're all afraid of. But you probably don't go there. You probably end up somewhere you can comprehend, somewhere you can accept, somewhere where you're still healthy, somewhere where you're still fine. Once again, death is something we don't understand. And that's all I think it is. I think death just occurs when we don't understand something. I think that's really what it is. All these examples of things that are death occurring when we fully understand it still don't make sense. Someone dies of cancer. We don't understand cancer. We don't understand why we can't beat it, right? Somebody dies, somebody gets shot in the heart. We don't understand why somebody would shoot somebody else. Somebody says someone was committing a crime, somebody was pointing a gun, somebody was doing something horrible. We don't understand why they would do that. Somebody says these things were all happening and it caused it. We don't understand why those things would happen. Somebody says it's just the way things are. We don't understand why things are just the way that they are. No matter what, it always goes back to something we don't understand. So, for those of you who've lost loved ones, for those of you who have seen death, for those of you who and I know that there's a genre of people that fall into this category, that the closest you've ever really gotten to death is the idea, hearing somebody else's family member died, or hearing that somebody died from a distance, but never really being close to it. A lot of you have probably never actually seen death. I'm walking a fine line here. I know that pissed some people off, but why are y'all getting pissed? Y'all need to think about that. Speak of the devil, there's a dog right there. That for some people, the idea of death is just constantly being brought up again for their brains to not be able to explain why it won't happen. And that could be what death is. Death could just be a virus of the question. See, even my fucking eyes are kind of like quaking right now. Like even my brain is like fucking flexing hard as fuck. But death could just be the concept of us just being removed forever, and us not knowing what the fuck that would be like, not knowing how it would work and why we thought it. old people thinking about dying all the time. You know what I think old people do? You notice how old people end up going crazy? A lot of old people go crazy. A lot of old people become distant. A lot of old people become dismissive of life. A lot of old people become deluded. What do you call it? A lot of old people stop being present. And I think it's because at some point they start realizing it doesn't fucking make sense to be. And we call it a disease. We say that their brains are gone. We say that their age is taking them. But I think that they're like me in that sense that they're like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Call dementia a disease. I might end up with dementia just because I said that. But all these feelings that I get are me measuring all the concepts around me. And a lot of them are just saying physical, 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 mass, mass, mass. Death is still happening. People are still dying. People still die. None of them want to be crazy and say death is never going to happen again. Out of fear of it happening anyway, which is another concept that's still being chosen, another concept that's still sneaking up on us. And that's what's got me held here, is that the concept of shit just happening. Even before I got to this point, one of the concepts I started was shit happens. A depressed concept. A concept designed to force people into a belief. I fucking hate this shit, bro. Shit happens is a concept that's designed to fucking force you to constantly face the idea of things happening anyway until you become convinced that that's what's gonna happen. And then the only way out you have is the pirated belief that they're all trying to sell you. Sorry, I had to say that because I saw it too well. But yeah, that's death. You don't understand something, death. You don't understand something. You don't understand it. That's death. You don't understand it. Some people tell you go to heaven or you go to hell. Those people telling you that don't seem to be good people themselves. They all lie. They all pretend not to know things. They're all insulting you. They're all trying to piss you off so that they can say they're a better person than you. All the people that claim that they're gonna go to heaven, that's a real thing, they just seem like a dog fucking saying that its shit smells better than all the other dogs. That's all it seems. It seems like it's a cat walking around with its fucking ass and head in the air. That's all it seems. But death is still something we don't understand. And therefore, I'm the closest to death right now because you don't understand me. And even I'm very confident in what I believe right now. Even with the threat of me being punked or me being pushed to a physiological dead end in which I must abandon my beliefs and just survive. I have something here that I can't let go of. I won't. So, for some of you, I might die. But for those of you that were actually willing to accept what I'm saying, for those of you who can believe that I've got millions of views on my YouTube videos, even though it says I've only got 4, for those of you who can accept it as a real thing, that you're gonna see me become something really awesome. Alright, I'm done. I'm gonna go.